My name is Jason, and this is Just Watches. Okay, today we have my first watch from Tissot. I'm definitely late to the game on this one, but I was able to borrow this PRX from a very supportive friend of the channel. My overall take is that these do live up to the hype. However, before we get into the review, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you're enjoying the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. So price and availability, well, these are widely available in a variety of colorways, as well as an automatic version. The Quartz version, though, retails for $375 on the Tissot website. However, you can find these on sale from retailers like Macy's from time to time. So starting with the case, I measure 40 millimeters in diameter, and then the lug to lug is a little tricky. On the website, they actually list the length as 39.5, but then there's a separate measurement for the lugs of 12 millimeters. If you add those together, it's 51.5, and that's exactly what I measure lug to lug if you include the end links, which don't really articulate. So I would say the true lug to lug on this is 51.5 millimeters, but it is very thin at 10.5 millimeters. And speaking of that lug, it is integrated. However, Tissot does sell straps that you can switch out with a quick release system. The case is a very lovely to no shape with excellent finishing. The finish on the top of the case and all the way into the bracelet is really fine vertical brushing. There's a thin high polished chamfer along the edges of the case, and then the bezel and case back, both of which are about the same thickness, have a high polished section. The effect is a very balanced appearance from the side of the watch, and with the case already very thin at only 10.5 millimeters, the case of the watch overall is very elegant. The transition into the bracelet is perfect, but the first lugs are fixed, and we did discuss how that adds to the length of the case of the watch overall. Additionally, the case is very straight, so I think it just barely works on my 6 3/4 inch wrist, but if you have smaller wrists, it might wear a little funny and overhang. Fortunately, Tissot is making a 35 millimeter version where the lug to lug, including those first end links, only measures 45.6 millimeters. The bracelet is really just an extension of the case, and at this price point is frankly mind-blowing. The articulation of the bracelet across the back of the watch and between the links is excellent, and this in combination with the small links make the bracelet flow and wear extremely comfortable. The links are also beautifully finished with vertical brushing and a small high polished chamfer along the edges, and the bracelet will catch light in beautiful ways. The links also have an elegant taper all the way from about 22.5 millimeters to 16 millimeters at the butterfly clasp. The butterfly clasp is an excellent choice here as the bracelet appears as one continuous chain of flashing links on the wrist. It's signed with Tissot in 1853 and has a double push release, and the bracelet secures with a satisfying click. Now sometimes it can be hard to get the right fit with a butterfly clasp, but since the links are really quite small, I think most people will be able to get a great fit. Alternatively, Tissot has straps that work with a quick release system if the bracelet doesn't work for you. Finally, sizing is accomplished with standard split pins. The press and case back is very sterile with information around the edges. The watch has 100 meters of water resistance. This watch is powered by the ETA F06.115. I couldn't find a stated accuracy, but I assume it's around plus or minus 15 seconds a month. This one also features a quick set date. The battery life is 3 years, and the watch does have an end of life function where the second hand will only advance once every 2 seconds to clue you in that the battery is low. The 5 millimeter push-pull crown is nicely signed with T for Tissot and is knurled for grip. While the crown looks nice, I would prefer if it was a bit thicker in diameter to make it easier to operate the watch with. That being said, as this is a quartz watch, you'll rarely have to adjust the time or date. The crystal is a flat sapphire that is ever so proud of the case and has a nice facet all the way around the edge. The facet on the crystal is continuous from the high polished bezel, and the effect overall is nice. I have read anti-reflective coating is used here, but the crystal does seem to catch quite a few reflections, and I would like to have seen a heavier application of AR used. That being said, it's great that they used a sapphire crystal at this price point. The dial is a beautiful sunburst blue that catches light in lovely ways. It's also very minimalistic with dashes for the minutes in white around the edge, and then only Tissot 1853 at 12 and PRX at 6 and Swiss made flanking the 6 o'clock index. The applied indices utilize multiple finishes including brushing and high polish and are faceted, but it's a shame they are so small. If they were bigger, I think it would be easier to appreciate the level of finishing, but I had to do so under magnification. Second, they're also filled with lume, but since they are so small, there isn't really enough surface area for the lume to be very bright. Finally, we have a date window at 3, which is just cut into the dial style, albeit with a slight facet around the edge. I like to have the date on my watch, but a no-date version of this watch would look incredible. The baton style hands are as nicely finished as the indices, but as they are much bigger, this can be appreciated without magnification. The minute and hour hands are brushed along the top with high polished facets down the sides. They're also filled with lume. The second hand is a simple affair, all high polish with a short counterbalance. The registration of the second hand is quite good and hits most but not all of the markers dead on. As you can see, they went with blue lume, which was a cool choice, but there's just really not enough surface area to have a strong application of lume. It starts out pretty bright, but it fades quickly. And here it is on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. I think I just pull it off, but you can see that the watch is quite long with those lugs that don't articulate, and it's very flat across the case. Something to keep in mind if you're considering this watch. So pros and cons. Well, starting with the pros, at the MSRP of $375, you're getting a heck of a package here. With a 100 meters of water resistance, a sapphire crystal, and this stunning bracelet, this watch is both sporty and dressy. This is a great contender if you're looking to own just one really nice watch for almost any occasion. As for cons, my main problem with this watch is that while the indices are really nicely finished, they're just too small to appreciate, and they're too small to have enough lume for the lume to be really useful. Integrated bracelet watches are all the rage, and we have seen them coming out almost non-stop for the last year. The one thing most of them have in common is that they're very expensive. The PRX is a great affordable option to have this style of watch, and it's extremely well executed. Not only does it come in both quartz and automatic, but it also comes in a variety of dial colors and even a smaller size. I'm really impressed with this watch. So there you have it, the PRX from Tissot. What do you think about this watch? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. That's all for this time. My name is Jason, and you have been watching Just Watches.